The Galactic Council chamber had always been a place of polished stone and colder lies, a ring of species seated beneath a floating star map that pulsed softly like a shared heartbeat. Earth's representatives stood alone at the center, human figures surrounded by towering aliens, crystalline beings, and entities wrapped in living light. For 3 centuries, humanity had followed every treaty, every restriction, every so-called peacekeeping mandate imposed by the Council. They had dismantled weapons, opened borders, and bled soldiers on distant worlds in wars that were never theirs. The vote that day was meant to be ceremonial, a formal renewal of Earth's protected status. Instead, the lights dimmed and the star map shifted, highlighting Earth in warning red. The Council's speaker, an ancient avian entity with metal-lined feathers, announced the verdict with rehearsed calm. Human expansion was declared destabilizing, Earth's fleets were labeled a latent threat, and sanctions escalated instantly to total military containment. In simple terms, the Council had decided that humanity would be erased quietly. The human ambassador did not shout or beg. She simply asked one question: whether any of the promises made over centuries had ever been real. The chamber answered with silence. Council fleets were already moving, hyperspace corridors lighting up across the map as armadas converged on Sol. Humanity had expected betrayal someday, just not wrapped in legal language and diplomatic smiles. What the Council did not know was that Earth had prepared for this exact moment. Every limitation imposed had been studied, every weakness observed, every Council doctrine memorized. The moment the vote ended, a single encrypted signal left the chamber faster than any Council courier. It was not a plea for help or a declaration of war. It was a confirmation code. Across the Sol system, dormant shipyards ignited. Vessels hidden inside asteroid shells shed their camouflage. Stations that had pretended to be research platforms unfolded into fortress arrays. Humanity's true fleet, long dismissed as symbolic and underarmed, powered up in silence. Earth did not broadcast threats or demands. The Council believed they had cornered a compliant species. They had only reminded humanity why it had never fully trusted the stars. The first Council fleet arrived at the edge of the Sol system with overwhelming confidence. Thousands of ships, layered shields glowing like stacked halos, weapons primed to sterilize rather than conquer. Council doctrine dictated swift annihilation to prevent prolonged resistance. They expected panic, scattered defenses, and a brief show of defiance before extinction. Instead, they found empty space. No defensive formations, no radio chatter, no frantic civilian evacuations. The Council admiral interpreted this as surrender. Orders were given to advance toward Earth orbit and begin planetary suppression. Then space bent. Human vessels emerged not in front of the armada, but within it. Massive black holes slipped out of folded reality, their surfaces absorbing light. Human ships did not announce themselves or issue warnings. They fired. Weapons the Council had banned centuries ago activated in coordinated silence. Gravity lances collapsed shield harmonics. Kinetic strikes punched through hulls with brutal efficiency. Electronic warfare blinded targeting systems before crews even understood they were under attack. Entire Council squadrons vanished in seconds, crushed, torn apart, or simply erased from existence. The Admiral attempted to retreat, only to find hyperspace corridors locked. Humanity had rewritten the rules of faster-than-light travel without ever informing the Council. A calm human voice finally broadcast across open channels. It stated that Earth considered the Council vote an act of war. It reminded them that compliance had never meant weakness. By the time the message ended, half the invading fleet was gone. The survivors fled blindly, broadcasting distress calls that overlapped in panic. Back on Earth, civilians watched the battle through filtered feeds. There was no cheering, no celebration. Only grim understanding. Humanity was done pretending. The mask of cooperation had been useful, but it was no longer needed. As the last Council ships escaped, Earth's fleet reformed into disciplined formations. New coordinates were uploaded across every vessel. They were not defensive positions. They were targets. The Galactic Council had never imagined the war would come to them. They had believed distance, bureaucracy, and sheer numbers would keep them untouchable. Human fleets arrived without warning at Council core worlds. Not one at a time, but everywhere at once. Hyperspace flared above capital planets, trade hubs, and military strongholds simultaneously. Human strategy was not conquest. It was erasure of capability. Shipyards were destroyed before alarms finished sounding. Command centers vanished under precision strikes that left surrounding cities intact. Council fleets attempting to mobilize were intercepted and dismantled in deep space. Humanity did not waste resources on drawn-out engagements. Every battle ended quickly and decisively. Species that had voted for Earth's destruction watched their defenses collapse in hours. Some attempted negotiation, broadcasting frantic apologies and revised treaties. Human command did not respond. The betrayal had crossed a line that could not be uncrossed. On the Council capital world, the chamber where the vote had taken place was reduced to molten stone. No civilians were present. Human intelligence had ensured that. This was not revenge fueled by rage. It was a calculated demonstration. The Council's greatest fear had always been an uncontrolled predator species. Humanity showed them something worse. A disciplined one. Across the galaxy, star systems went dark as Council infrastructure ceased to exist. Trade collapsed, communications fractured, and allied species realized too late that their security depended entirely on human restraint. Earth's fleets moved with relentless efficiency, leaving behind silence, debris, and the unmistakable message that betrayal had consequences. The final Council broadcast came from a hidden relay near the galactic core. Only fragments of the original leadership remained, their voices stripped of authority and pride. They asked why humanity had gone this far, why no mercy had been offered. The human response was brief. Mercy had been given for 300 years. It had been mistaken for submission. Humanity explained that survival had taught them one unbreakable rule. Trust without strength invited extinction. The Council had not just attacked Earth. They had attempted to erase a species that had chosen cooperation over domination. The response was not hatred. It was correction. As the transmission ended, human fleets completed their final objectives. The last Council shipyards were destroyed. The last military archives wiped clean. Nothing capable of rebuilding the old power structure was left intact. Humanity did not hunt refugees or civilians. Those who fled were allowed to disappear into the dark. But the Council, as an institution, ceased to exist. In the aftermath, the galaxy struggled to understand the new reality. Without the Council, old rivalries resurfaced and ancient fears returned. Then humanity spoke again. Not with threats, but with terms. Earth offered a new framework, voluntary cooperation without hidden chains. No species would be disarmed unless they chose it. No fleet would be labeled a threat for existing. The message was clear. Peace would be respected. Betrayal would not. Human fleets withdrew from conquered space, leaving no occupation forces behind. They returned home, their task complete. Earth did not claim dominion over the stars. It claimed something far more powerful: reputation. From that day forward, every species remembered what happened when trust was weaponized against humanity. The stars were quieter, more cautious. And somewhere in that silence, Earth watched, prepared, and finally unafraid.